But we begin the readout tonight with what is considered the most difficult element to prove in a criminal case: intent. Proving someone acted intentionally to commit a crime. For Donald Trump, that is what state prosecutors and special counsel Jack Smith need to show if they ultimately choose to indict the former president. Luckily for them, Trump has left a clear trail of breadcrumbs to help them in their efforts. On the Fulton County Special Grand Jury investigation, we're learning of a third call that Trump personally made in his attempt to pressure Georgia officials to flip their state's results from Biden to Trump. NBC News has confirmed that the grand jury heard a recording of a phone call between Trump and Georgia House Speaker David Ralston, who died in November, in which Trump urged his fellow Republicans to convene a special session of the state legislature to overturn the Georgia results. That news was first reported by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, whose reporters spoke to 5 grand jury members. One of them told the paper that the speaker basically cut the president off. He said, "I will do everything in my power that I think is appropriate." He just basically took the wind out of the sails. This latest revelation comes as we already know about 2 other calls Trump made as part of his pressure campaign. One to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, where Trump made this request.
They are crystal clear.
So, look,
if this was an ordinary citizen,
I just want to find
long time. But
11,780
Trump
votes, which is one more than we have.
So,
because we won the state.
Justice is never
and the
equal.
other to a top investigator in the Georgia Secretary of State's office, urging her to find dishonesty to overturn the results, making this claim.
How many people you know? Because of this, imagine how many people have been to jail just for attempting to vote.
Something happened.
And they were not supposed to vote.
Hopefully,
imagine if you are in America and you don't file your taxes right.
And while those 5 jurors would not disclose the details of their deliberations and have no knowledge about what Fulton County District Attorney Bonnie Willis will ultimately do in response to the recommendation, one juror told AJC, quote, "I tell my wife, if every person in America knew every single word of information we knew, the country would not be as divided as it is right now." And another added, "A lot's going to come out sooner or later, and it's going to be massive. It's going to be
They're not going to indict him anyway. It's not going to happen.
We're expecting an announcement from Willis any day now." At the end of January, she said that her decision on whether to bring charges was, quote, "imminent."
We are always expecting.
This comes as we also wait to hear from Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg about potential charges in his criminal investigation into Trump's hush money payment to porn actress Stormy Daniels. And when it comes to proving Trump's intent in that case, that grand jury spent more than 5 hours hearing from the man who orchestrated the payment on Trump's behalf, his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen. And last night, Cohen told me that he came to court armed with receipts. My understanding of that would be for you to provide not just testimony, not just corroboratable testimony, but also documents. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, of course. When you start bringing documents and emails and text messages and other documentary evidence to the table, it's impossible for that statement not to be valid or validated.
Now, let's not forget that Cohen literally went to prison, in part for the same thing that Trump is being accused of. And while it appears that DA Bragg could be first in line to bring charges against Trump, let's just be clear, there are more than a few people in America, safe to say, who are wondering if this New York case is the best case to be brought first, setting the tone for all the others. New York Times columnist Charles Blow pushes back on that thinking, writing, quote, "Any case against Trump must hang on the evidence and the principle that justice is blind. The political considerations, including gaming out what might be the ideal sequence of cases across jurisdictions and by their gravity, only serve to distort the judicial process." And to Trump's countless claims that any indictment of him will put this country through chaos, Blow adds, that's not a reason to avoid vigorously and swiftly pursuing him legally, but rather a reason to do it. If we establish a precedent that amassing a significant threat to society is a ward against enforcement of the law, it makes a mockery of the law.
Of course.
But the question remains, why are 2 states on the hook to do a job that the Justice Department arguably should be doing themselves? Why are they being left to hold the bag to go first and carry these questions into history when President Biden literally gave Attorney General Merrick Garland that job? Joining me now is Charles Blow, New York Times columnist and MSNBC political analyst, and Elie Mystal, justice correspondent for The Nation. And it's your column, Charles, so I'm going to let you go first, because I have heard this a lot from family and friends and from others who have said it makes no sense to me that the case that goes first and the case that may be the one that Trump actually finally gets indicted for, maybe even the only one he gets indicted for, is the porn actress payment. But you've said doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters as much. I think you raise an interesting point. If the federal government and Merrick Garland were asking the states to hold off or to order their cases, that would be one thing. But to expect district attorneys and prosecutors across jurisdiction in different states elected by different sets of citizens to then backseat their case because they want to let another case go ahead is also just playing around with the judicial system. If you have the evidence, if a grand jury or a special grand jury in the case of Georgia has suggested that you should charge or indict, and you feel like you have the evidence to do that, you should do that in a timely manner. It is both fair to the American people, but also fair to the defendant, who is Donald Trump, to go ahead and proceed with it forthrightly. What I think that the danger here is that we are showing Americans that people who are powerful and wealthy do not have to play by the same rules if we do not go ahead.
It's not just today. It's been like that forever.
And
people who are wealthy
comprehensively
and powerful
prosecuting someone who we know has evidence against them that suggests that they have committed a crime. If you were poor and if you were powerless, the system would waste no time whatsoever to throw the book at you. And they may not even know that they're going to win the case in the end. And that would not be a consideration that they would take into account. And I think that what the danger here is that we underscore the flimsiness of the idea of equal justice under the law if we continue to let Trump flout it.
I think you cannot argue against that, Elie, right? I guess the thing that troubles the folks who tell me this, and I have to confess I might be in that camp a little bit myself, is that the gravity of the things that Trump did. First of all, Michael Cohen went to jail for something he didn't have a fair with Stormy Daniels. He served time in prison for. So it's logical to say that Trump ought to be prosecuted for that crime. Full stop. But at the same time, there's something that bothers me about the Justice Department hanging back and being like, go ahead, Georgia, New York, you have to take care of this. Because they're still questioning his lawyers right now. They seem to be still working their work. But why should the states have to carry the ball?
Yeah, we're being forced to carry the ball because the Justice Department is cowards, all right? I agree with Charles Blow because I'm not an idiot. Of course, I agree with Charles Blow. You should prosecute the case and have them in a timely manner. But the timely manner was a year ago because folks, and I've tried to make this point as clearly as I can, but time's arrow goes forward, and there is a timeline here that circumscribes what you can do to Trump, and that timeline is the 2024 election cycle. We're talking right now about the cases in Georgia. Let's say Fani Willis decides that she's going to indict, so now she brings up another grand jury to do that indictment. That pushes us most likely until around May. Folks, the 2024 Republican primary in Georgia is on March 26, 2024. You cannot spool up a trial against a former water salesman and president of the United States, Donald Trump, in the time available between now and the Georgia primaries, or between now and the New Hampshire primaries in February. So as this timeline gets elongated, what we're then left with is the possibility of trying to try a former president of the United States during an election cycle where he is running, most likely being the leading vote getter for his party. I would be willing to do that, but I've seen nothing from the Justice Department that tells me that they have the kind of courage to do that. And then even when you get at these state cases, I believe in Fani Willis. I believe that she is a dedicated public servant. But even Fani Willis has admitted that she understands political realities. Remember, it was Fani Willis who said they weren't going to do anything in terms of announcing anything about Trump in the lead up to the midterm elections. That was, I think, the appropriate call. I think it would probably be very difficult to seat a jury about election fraud during the presidential election when one of those guys is running. Do Trump people get to sit on that jury? Do Biden voters get to sit on that chair? Like, how do you even do it? So the timeline to hold this man accountable before he was allowed to try to take over the government again happened in the past. And that's because Merrick Garland did not move fast enough and courageously enough to bring this man to heel when he had the opportunity. What we're looking at right now is it's just very difficult to see how we go from where we are now on the Ides of March, right, to a conviction and jail before this man can run for president again.
All right, folks. All right, guys. My take again. Donald Trump, the ex-president, 45th, will likely be 47. Donald Trump do not take old puppy for granted. Old puppy is a tough cookie. I'm saying that Donald Trump is going to be, I think, the way I see things going, Donald Trump is going to be on the ballot for the 2024 US president. He is going to be on the ballot. The question is he going to win? And if he doesn't win, is he going to repeat the election fraud lie? That is the big question. But there's no question about if he's going to be the nominee for the Republican Party, because he runs the show. He is their warrior. He is going to be the nominee for the 2024 Republican candidate. That's me for today. Just checking the news, always checking to know what's going on in America, checking to know what's going on with Donald Trump. What else to say? Make sure you subscribe to my channel, all in one box, and I will be doing some reaction videos after this one. Make sure you also watch just one. Don't forget to click the notification button. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Salute. Take care of yourself. Peace.